Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a great week. The countdown for Home Dad Con is down into single digits.
Yeah.
And,
I'll be there in less than a week.
uh-huh,
You'll be
I might,
there.
I might be there in less than a day if all this stuff continues, man. I'll tell you, I don't know. Raise your hand if you were like, I would just like to have a teleport machine that teleports me into the future. And voila, we are
Just-
here. And then
Just
also,
go.
too, can I have a Hermione's time turner so that I can just keep switching it back? Like,
Just stay there, do all the things. Which breakout did you
exactly.
go to? All of them?
All of them. Yep. Hit them all. Who did you talk to at the convention? Everyone.
Every single person.
Did any of them mention the word deja vu? Every time.
Yep. Yep. I don't know how you're doing this, Brock. Doesn't matter. Just consider I'm magic and let it go. I'm here for
Just
you.
consider you're in an episode of Doctor Who. It's all good.
So the
Groundhog Day.
frustration and the ready to just get out of this job and get on vacation, basically. I
Basically.
hit this point every year. And I don't know how I would make it if I didn't go to Home Dad Con. I really don't. I don't even want to consider it. I feel like I would break because
Yeah.
without just this time, because no other vacation is a vacation. I mean, every other thing that we do, oh, we're going for Christmas vacation. Oh, so I'm just going to take my show on the road. All the stuff that I deal with at home, I just got to deal with it in somebody else's house or a hotel room or whatever. So we never get a break from it. And this is it. This is the moment. This is the time. And I'm sorry for anybody that's not going to be able to make it this year. I can imagine how awful it is to be hearing this, but it's the greatest event of dadhood. And every year you need to go.
Yeah, I was explaining it to somebody the other day about the fact that, like, oh, there's, the veteran dads, the guys who have been coming to Home Dad Con for years, like we understand and our spouses understand the importance of not just going for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday stuff, but getting the couple of extra days prior to that to hang out or go do something that you would never get to do or whatever it is, and just having that moment. And I said, most times the guys who are new who come and are like, man, this is awesome. And they're able to go home, explain it well enough to their spouse and partner, get them to understand it and realize it. The next year usually they come in a day earlier, and then it's like then they usually get the second day earlier, and so it's like end up like there's this large group this year who's coming in on Tuesday.
Yep.
And I think every year we get people who always ask, like, how'd you pull that off? how,
Yeah.
how did how did that happen? And it's
Mhm.
like it all really just comes down to the understanding that this job is taxing. And
Mhm.
at the same time, too, like you were saying, when you go on a family vacation, that's not a vacation for you. I mean, yes, it is nice family time
Mhm.
at a different place other than your home, but it's not a vacation.
No.
It's like it's just a continuation in another location, basically. And
Yep.
so I completely understand that. Now, on the other side of things, I do have a vacation planned for just me and my wife in May for our anniversary. We're actually going on a cruise for a week, so I'm
Heck
excited
yeah.
about that. But she also mentioned, you were talking about not, if you couldn't go. She was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to send you to Home Dad Con with also going on the cruise. I'm like, wait a minute, that was never part of the
I guess we're
conversation.
canceling the cruise. That's
Yeah.
sad. Why is my vacation the one that has to suffer?
I said, I will make it happen. I can find a way.
Right?
Like I,
Yeah.
I was like, I got a really pretty leg. I can make, do some little OnlyFans like leg movements or whatever.
People love to see your feet. Well,
Is that what it is?
okay,
Oh,
well, I
feet.
don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't. But yeah, it's out there. But
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
right, right. And I was even looking at, and I've never done this before, but we were talking about donating plasma. It came up in
Right. That's one way
conversation,
to do
and
it.
a lot
Yeah.
of people, and I'm like, so you just go and they just take blood, and they're like, no, it's a little different. The needle's bigger, and you sit
It is
there,
bigger.
you pump your arms, and they pump the blood back in, and and that's, and I'm like, and okay, and how much do you get? And they're like, well, you can only do it twice a week, but I make about $700 a month. And I went,
Yep.
what?
Yeah. It's
What? You
crazy.
know what I could do with $700? Holy crap. And I'm seriously looking at it like, I can handle a needle, I think. And I'm pretty sure once you do it, you get used to it. It's not going to freak you out as much, whatever. And I don't have like a needle phobia. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, this would be so much easier than trying to get like my blacksmithing hobbyist thing to sell, whatever, or to buy a glow forge and make signs or something. I can just
Yeah.
go in and be like, hey, can you take my plasma? Yeah, I'll be here for an hour. Okay, I got a book and I'll squeeze my hand, or I'll listen to a podcast or
Well,
something. I'll squeeze
the
my
biggest
hand.
thing
You know.
the biggest thing is making sure that you are, well filled, have good food in you, that kind of
Mhm.
thing, and are well hydrated. Those two things are like the keys to making that work well. But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some lucrative extra cash to be had just sitting in a chair and having that process. I did it once, and man, it's a bit of a weird thing, but yeah, I mean, it's really nothing when you're just sitting there. You're just, like I
Yeah,
said, just pumping a ball in your
right.
hand, and
To
and
get
and
that
it's not
done.
even all the time. It's only like basically like they have you pump it for a while and then you stop because there's like
Hmm.
a circulation that takes place. But yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot, honestly. That's one
Yeah,
way to
worth a
that's one way
shot.
to
I
make
get
some
it.
money.
Worth a shot. Boom, tish.
Worth a poke.
Worth a poke. So talking about home dad con and getting away from everything, and that's an amazing thing, and we agree. But just as a lead in, another big thing is to be able to get out and go and do things with your dad friends and their kids.
Yeah.
Whether it's city dad groups or you find somebody local, you get your local dad group and you go out and you do things. And do we have anything like that going on? Anything we're talking about like that, say at the convention?
Where dads are getting together and going places.
Yeah, like on an annual trip or something.
I mean, I'm picking up a guy in Indianapolis. I'm picking up Billy, and we're doing a dad road trip from Indianapolis to St. Louis, so that's going to be
Well, that's
fun.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
I
picking
think
up
there's some.
Kiba.
Yeah, I was gonna say
He's
you
part
got
of me.
Kiba, and
But
then there's a kayaking trip that's
mhm,
planned for guys. I
brewery hop,
even There's a brewery
got that
hop.
going. Karaoke.
There's that. There's the dinner at Jeremy's
Hmm.
on Tuesday night, and then also too. I put out there for anybody who's not wanting to do any of those things. If they want to go play disc golf,
Hmm.
they can come with me to play some disc golf on Wednesday morning. So, yeah, there's all that kind of stuff. And then you do have like the dad trip things with the kids, that are going on. Like last
But you
week,
get an annual trip. Some of our
there is an annual trip. Yeah,
listeners or even guests. I'm leading you in here to our
I know
guests
you
that
are.
are
You
coming
are
in
just.
to.
I feel like you just got a carrot on a stick, and we're gonna just keep walking down. Come on, you can get it.
You can get it.
Yeah. So we got these two guys, Shannon and Mick, who are really, I feel like this trip that they do is just ingenious because one, it's been going on for so long, and two, like the creativity that they put into just scheduling everything and doing all the
Hmm.
things is quite impressive. And the fact that they can even continue to get these older kids to come along with them and
Right.
seem like they like genuinely enjoy being on the
Yeah.
trip.
And their
Um,
kids are driving on the
right?
part on the trip now. I mean, imagine that. Imagine going on a road trip with your kids for the next 10 years. And at the end of that, they're going and they're going to be one of the drivers. I mean, it blows my mind. It's just incredible.
That is a return on investment.
Right.
That's what that is. That's what that is.
Yes, it
That's
is.
playing the long game.
Yes, it
That's what
is.
that is.
Fabian went to college, and I literally the first week I went, man, I need somebody to go get me some milk. Oh crap, I got to go get the milk now. Because before I'd be like, hey buddy, would you go get me a gallon of milk just for the night? or you go
Yeah.
get like, what was really funny is because he's a teenager and because he works fast food, he would say, "Hey, they're closing at 9. I'm going to ride down there and get the leftover burgers." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I can just buy like 4 cheeseburgers and some fries. It might be cheaper. And then I could give some to James and we could just," I'm like, this is glory days right here. This is your most glorious moment. And I don't have to help you too.
All
So
right.
imagine your kids driving. It is scary in a way, but also, man, on a road trip, that's just, yeah,
That's golden opportunity right there.
it's
Definitely.
just like you said, return on investment. Just
Well, we're
wonderful.
gonna bring Mick and Shannon back on here in just a bit to talk about their dad trip and all the different elements to it here in just a moment. I feel like I could write a book about it. Just like, I know there's stuff in with the ultimate stay-at-home dad guide that Shannon put out a couple years ago, but I feel
Mhm.
like this could definitely be a book too, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be right back with Shannon and Mick and talking about dad road trips with your kids.
All right.
Become a member of the National At Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support, connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today.
All right, Shannon, mute your phone and zip your pants.
I'm keeping that in. Hey guys, we're back. We've got Shannon and Mick. I mean, it's no hold bars at this point. We got these two guys in there. They're veteran podcasters themselves, so we can have some real good fun.
Professionals.
We're all
Veteran.
Real professionals.
Let's be honest, Danny.
Can we take the P off of that? We're just professionals. Like, we're not paid.
Yeah.
Professionals get paid. That's why they get the P at the beginning. We're professionals. We're just
We're
regular Joes.
building platform. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, on rickety platforms of
Bamboo
scaffolding. Pallets.
Fucking
Oh,
cinder
my
block
goodness.
and plywood. That's what we are.
Yeah, and wrapped in chicken wire at the same time. It'll hold together, Jim. Get on up there.
You'll be
duct
fine.
tape engineering be great, right?
Mhm.
You guys have obviously been to Shannon's house and seen how he builds stuff.
I build stuff just fine.
Yeah,
It lasts.
yeah,
If
just
it
like Rock
works.
described.
If it works, it doesn't matter.
Shannon,
That's
tell
right.
them your build test. Tell them how you decide whether
Oh.
something's done.
So when I do build stuff like furniture and chairs, I call it my Vivi test, because when she was a kid, she used to destroy everything. Vivi's my daughter, and I'd make her jump on it or play with it. And if it could survive a day with my daughter, it was well made. If it did not, well, it was back to the drawing board.
Mhm.
That's really the way I've done my life.
I love that.
Is it Vivi proof? That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. Well, hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. And it's always great to see you and Danny.
Absolutely.
I am just so excited that we get to hang out in a week. I don't know. I always love just sitting down with you guys and just catching up at Home Dad Con. And of course, this year you guys are presenting and talking about the dad trip that you guys have been going on for a while. I was joking in the pre-show with Danny how this is like a long game return on investment when you start this when they're little, and now that they're older, they're the ones driving. It was
Yeah.
like nice little just putting all the investment in to be able to sleep in the car when you go on your road trips now.
It is. It's totally worth it.
I couldn't sleep with Fabian driving, but he did drive and I sat in the back, but I could not fall asleep.
Sitting in the
'Cause-
back is harder though.
It is. I hate I'm like, this is uncomfortable. How do you people survive back here? You know? And you're like this in the back of like the Suburban. It's swaying all the time. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm
And
not
then when
gonna
you have a
relax back
teenage driver causing the sway,
There it is.
This
I
is
was
just
waiting for it.
this was just a couple weeks ago, and we're driving through town, and Kelly's in the front with Rory. And bless her heart, Rory is a fantastic human being, but she is not a good driver. And I'm in the middle, and we got the sway going, and I'm just like, yeah, I finally had to not look. I was like, Kelly's got this in the front seat. I gotta just stay.
hmm
I had to check out.
Yeah.
So you guys do realize this is maybe just a metaphor for, giving up control, right?
Mhm.
That maybe that's why you can't sleep because the kids got to go on without you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I look at it, I'm like, just treat it like a bus. If you're on a bus, there's a driver. They're doing all the work. You have to trust that they're doing what they're supposed to do. They know what they're talking about. They can handle. This might be the bus driver's first day on the job, but they're still been trained. My kid's been trained. I've given them all the instruction. Wisconsin, you have to actually send them to a class, so they've been
Mhm.
professionally instructed. Why can't I just let that go?
Because
Why do I
the
have to
bus
be
is
a
heading
control
to the
freak?
guardrails.
Right?
Yeah. Maybe the driver's on crack. I don't know.
Are you saying
That is
Rory's on
ridiculous.
crack?
Dude, my son drives as good as Rory. That's what
Actually,
you need
Rory's
to
better from what I've heard.
But it is
Why-
Oh my gosh.
I
It
white
is-
knuckle that down the road, man.
I can't wait till our kids are older and they just happen to stumble upon this episode and they're like, "You said what?"
Mhm.
Yeah. My son is very, very honest with it.
It's all good.
He's like, I'm learning, but it's hard. I'm like, okay, well, we'll keep trying then.
Nice. Yeah. You got to know your limitations. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I want to
when-
get into this talking about the trip a little bit. I don't want you guys to share too much because you got your talk going on. So I don't want to give away too much candy to the situation. I guess.
Closing keynote. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many stories in the dad's trip. I mean,
I'll be honest. We're struggling with what to include because
Yeah.
this has been going on for so long, and it's more than just a trip with the kids, as Shannon and I are realizing when we put this together. There's more to it, and you guys will, next week you guys will see what we're talking about. But we've been doing this for so long, it's hard to figure out what makes the cut and what doesn't.
Do you guys have like some sort of check off list of kind of when you set these things up? Like, I mean, what does planning look like?
Yeah, Mick. Do we have a checkoff list? Do we, buddy?
Oh, did I hit a nerve?
Not a nerve per se. It's just kind of a funny because
It's not our style.
So okay, I will.
Are you Danny Tanner or are you Homer Simpson when it comes to road trips?
Look at us. What do you think?
I am Clark Griswold. That's what I am. when it
You are
comes-
Oh, there we
Clark
go.
Griswold in a Homer Simpson body.
That's exactly it.
Ow.
My
Ow.
bitchin' beard.
He's fine with it, Danny. This is not any shaming. This is mutual love, and he owns it and he knows it. So Shannon and I have been friends for over 16 years. There's
Mhm.
no
17, dude.
bar-
You
Jesus.
can't even
Who's
remember
counting
our
right
I'm
now?
so old. I
anniversary.
can't even.
No,
This is how.
no,
This is
17 is over 16.
Exactly.
Right, Mick?
But,
I'm
I'm
with you.
important enough to remember a day. That's all I'm saying.
hey, I remember the day. I remember the day that we met just as well as you did, my
I
friend.
want to
So
hear that story. How
You
did
know
you
what?
two
I do
meet?
too. How do you
you
want
read
to?
about, hey, hold on. Did that story make the book or not?
So
Or was that
yeah,
just in the prelim?
I
You
don't
might have read it.
the whole story didn't make the book, but the good part did.
Well,
Just the
for
smaller
anybody who
part.
hasn't read the book, The
Okay.
Oh
Ultimate
yeah,
Stay-at-Home Dad Guide,
yeah.
get it.
So
But until then, let's hear the
tell,
precursor.
yeah, Mick, tell the story.
No, well, okay. So this goes back 17 years. This is back when, um, this is before, any of the city dad stuff, which is where Casey Dads is now. But back then, we were Casey Dads. Everything was run through you Yahoo group mail servers and bulletin boards, and the dad
All
world
right.
just, did not. It was a little harder to pull things off. So you just had to, um, you just had to work a little bit harder to get your group together than you do now. You still have to work hard. Don't misunderstand me, but it was different. Okay. It was
Mhm.
different. But, so we would publish, what we were, any event that we were going to do, and guys would, send introductory emails, and I got one from this guy named Shannon, and he says, "Hey, I'm looking to join the group." And I was like, "All right, well, we're going to the zoo on Wednesday. Would love to have you join us. We'll meet by the otter pond, at the front of the zoo at
All right, hold
9:30."
on. You make the email sound all professional. I was begging. It's like, please be real. Can I come? I want to come play. Let's not professionalize this, man. I was in a rough spot and not doing well mentally, and I was like, "Hello, sir.
How many
Can
kids?
I?"
How many kids did you have at this time, Shannon?
I had two, and Mick had two, and
Okay.
it was at the zoo. So I practically ran to the zoo. And by this time in my little stay-at-home dad career, which had been 6 months or so at the time, I'd been to the zoo like 20 times already. I
Mhm.
could give goddamn tours of that zoo, right? And so when they picked the zoo, I was like, done on it. Where are we meeting? So yeah, that's where we met at for the first
Did
time.
did Shannon run up to you and give you a big hug and go, "Oh my God, you're real"?
The myth is true. Well, Mick had long hair first off. It was very luxurious.
Wow.
He did.
That I would love to see a
I
picture of
cannot
right
picture
there.
that at all.
It
No.
was very pretty because we were in our 30s, young 30s at the time. In the book, I'll tell you, in the book, I described it as Mick's voice washed over me like motor oil over a hot engine. That's what I meant.
Chef's kiss, Shannon. Chef's kiss. Just
I
Well
thought that was
done.
perfect.
pretty good too.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry, I stole Mick's story. Sorry, man.
Oh no,
His greasy mullet was all I needed to know. I was welcomed.
It was pretty greasy, but I'm bald,
there,
so I was like, I want to pet it like a chia
but
pet.
but that's how we started on
Yeah.
a play date, pure and
Yep.
simple. And Danny, I know you talk about this all the time, but it's true. These, meetups, play dates, group things, they are just as much for the dad as they are for the kids. The
Oh
social
yeah.
interaction has to be found on both levels for, at-home parenting to work. And
Hmm.
especially for us guys, because our world is just so much smaller,
Oh yeah.
than the moms out there. But that's how Shannon and I met, over 17 years ago at the zoo on a, Casey Dad's play group. And, the Casey Dads group was established, but with dad groups, you got to constantly be trying to elevate. You got to constantly be trying to move forward and attract
Re-up.
members,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
how much so
And
how long after uh that first initial meeting at the zoo to then this idea of like, yeah, let's do a road trip with our kids and get some
we're
what
gonna
is it?
we're gonna give you a timeline,
Are you?
It was like two
in a
years.
week. But I'll give you a little bit. You have to build, you got to build.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's gonna be the teaser. You just don't jump in right away. And that's essentially what we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna be talking about how you build a dad's trip. This is not just going to be, do you got the fruity snacks and enough wipes to get you through the Pizza Ranch buffet? No, you got to build up to where you're comfortable going, and we're going to share our journey.
Awesome.
Are you
pure and
gonna,
simple.
in that build, do we tell them that you said no at first? Are you gonna own it? That
Well,
you ditched me?
apparently you
You,
just did.
to
So
the
there.
listeners,
Or what about
Mick,
the initial pitch of the idea? Like, are you guys going to talk a little bit about, like that
yep.
sort of like light bulb moment? And
Are you gonna tell the truth, Mick? How you said no to me? You turned me down, broke my heart.
Absolutely. There, no, that's one thing Shannon and I are, is if not, is we are honest.
was this after
And
watching the Goofy movie, by the way?
um we're gonna share our failures along with our successes.
Mhm.
Most of our
When it
failures,
comes
yeah.
to all of the travels that we have done over the years. And I'll just throw the teaser out there that a dad's trip does not necessarily have to involve, you know, the kids. A dad's trip can be just the dads. It can be just the moms and the dads. Okay. There's many facets that are required to put this whole package together, and trying to share and not give away too much, but that's what we're
We
going
can
to
tease
talk
for the
about.
guys that won't be there. Yeah. I mean,
You
there's gonna
know,
be guys that won't be there. And
yeah.
the dad, yeah, the dad trip is just as important for the dads as it is for the kids. And we did realize that early on. And that is the old adage of the journey is more important than the destination. That's exactly what everything turned out to be. These moments of bonding between men where you can be yourself and to build that relationship with guys because you're going to need it later because the journey of fatherhood is hard. It is a lot of stuff coming at you one way or another. It never stops. And having someone to share that burden of fatherhood with you is, I have found, essential for my well-being.
Mhm.
Well said.
I agree. I
Thank
agree
you.
100%. We've been very fortunate here living in Wisconsin to have a lot of the Midwest dads within, couple hours, really,
Yeah.
and been able to get together with them. A couple years ago, we had a big birthday celebration for one of our members, and we had 6 dads that showed up. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you go from being only yourself and your kids pretty much physically,
Yeah.
to have just 5 other dads just to hang out with, and that was just the dads. And it was such a good experience. I think everybody there walked away from it and go, we got to do this again. We got to do this regularly.
Mhm.
We got to put this on the calendar every year. Let's go celebrate your birthday, whatever we need to do, because of how valuable it is. And not just people that get what you do for a living, but that really can understand how valuable that time is away from your family and all those responsibilities.
Yep.
It's a fantastic idea.
There's been a conversation for quite a while about trying to do a kind of cabin in the woods, dads show up kind of thing for a while, but it hasn't
Not
really.
not Cabin in the Woods. Not That's a
Yeah,
movie.
cabin by the lake.
There you go.
That's,
Sure.
I think
Sure. Well,
that's
that's
kind of
kind of a
worse.
movie too. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Isn't
that
that
like
like Friday the 13th? I think
Oh
Brock's trying to
yeah,
get us killed.
it's a getaway. It's just a getaway. We can say getaway.
Why does
Cabin
it
in the
always have
woods,
to be a cabin in the woods? Can't we do like downtown in a loft? I mean,
right?
we're fancy dads.
Airbnb.
I
Airbnb has
know.
got you, baby. They will take care of you wherever you
Something
want to
without
go.
it, zombies or serial killers would be a good start, I think, on that route.
Or an apocalypse.
Next week, one of you two remind me. Next week we'll have a chat. I know a barn out in the sticks of Missouri.
All right.
Okay.
Sure. Sounds
That's
great.
exactly how these things start, Mick.
Exactly how those things start. Does it have
That's,
a
I'm
bunch of
sure.
chainsaws hanging on
Yeah,
chains? Like
as a guy
we're
in an
gonna hide
apron
behind
and
that while the killer is actually at the workbench.
That
And I think I saw a
commercial, I just saw that commercial. It's the time of year for that commercial. I just saw it on TV the other night.
it's like Leatherface giving out invitations. Come on down for a nice little place in this
Right.
isolated barn in Texas. No problem, guys.
Got fine. We
Well,
got
I didn't say
barbecue.
barn in Texas. I
We'll
We'll
said
have a
barn in
barbecue
northern
by
Missouri.
yeah,
Shannon,
barbecue
you've
by
been there.
by
You're
the
trying to
second or
make this
third
place
day. We'll
sound
have
all
barbecue.
sketchy.
It is not sketchy. It is way nice. But
So
maybe I don't want to share
are you
it.
guys I don't know if you guys are going to talk about this or not in everything because you said you're still working on stuff, but do you have a like best experience type situation and like a worst
Oh, see,
that
that's what's hard.
There's so
yeah,
many of both.
is there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it.
After
There,
16 years or 15 years of been doing this, to pick the very best moment Oof, I don't know because there've been a lot of good
Just
mows.
give them, share your go-to right now. You have a go-to.
I don't.
It's Field
It's
of Dreams. Tell that story
well,
because
okay,
that's been told. That's been told numerous
okay.
times.
The
That's
Field of
not a
Dreams.
surprise to anybody.
So
Share
yeah,
that one.
so one of the dad's trips was the Field of Dreams, and there's a win and a loss on this one. So we were in Iowa because Mick is obsessed with Iowa that we have to go every year. Apparently, you are Mick. I've seen all of Iowa. I'm not going back.
No,
So
you haven't seen it all yet.
yes, I have. I'm not going
You
back to Iowa. It's been like 3 dad's trips on the Iowa
You're
thing.
not going next year then.
So the Field of Dreams obviously is a draw, right? You got to go to the Field of Dreams, right? It's up in northeastern Iowa, or yeah. And so we head out there, and it was a big dad trip. There's like 8 or 9 dads and like 22 kids. It was a huge one that we were rolling down there because we look like a funeral procession going down the road in like 10 minivans, right? And so we get there, we're all dads, and the kids are real young. My son is like 5, 6, and I have my other son who's a newborn, and my daughter who's like 8. And that's the age range of the kids are around there, all the way up from like 9 all the way to like newborn. So we roll into the Field of Dreams at like 8:30 in the morning. We are that level of dad in here because when you have kids that young, no one is sleeping, and we all know that. It's
Especially in a
6:30 call
hotel
time.
room, right? Who sleeps in a
Yeah,
hotel room when you're 2 years old?
yeah,
Mhm.
6:30 is call time. You should show up. So we get there, and it turns out half of us are actually coaching baseball. So we get to the field, and it's pristine. It is exactly like the movie. It's exactly what you want it to be. There is the cornfield. There is the field. There's the metal bleachers. There's the white farmhouse on the hill. And it's not commercialized, right? There was a little bitty trailer on the site where you could buy a t-shirt maybe, but not really. The rest of it was free. It is not commercialized at all. It is
Wow.
meant to be for the experience. And I mean, you walk up and it's almost like this music in your head. You're like, oh, yeah. We're all half of us are coaching baseball, so we just pull out all the gear. We have everything. We have like 60 balls with like buckets of balls, bats, tees. The kids are in their baseball outfits and their pants, and we proceed to just head out to the field and just run practice.
Nice.
And
Nice.
we get out there and it's just rolling and we're having a good time. And then, the day goes on a little bit and other people start showing up and they sit on the bleachers and watch as kids and adults. And I'm sitting there going, nah, this ain't gonna work. You don't come to the Field of Dreams to watch. I mean, that's crap, right? That's not what you
Yeah.
do. So Mick and I and the rest of them said, why don't you guys come play with us? And pretty soon we had the whole place, like 50, 60 people out there shagging balls, taking batting practice. Each dad would take turns running batting practice while the kids were doing it. So everyone had a chance to pitch and hit.
Mind you, somebody also had to mind the 5 2-year-olds that were strapped in stroller jail so we could do
Yeah.
this.
Someone on your chest. Yeah, I mean, you got a kid strapped to your chest and a little donkey backpack there. But we got it. It is the least stressful adventure I think we've ever done. And I see these two
Except for
old
that
ladies.
one kid that got lost in the cornfield.
Oh, we're getting there. That happens. So we're sitting there, and I see these two older ladies, sitting on the bleachers. And I'm like, I'm full on into dad mode. Like, no one watches, right? So I go up there and ask them. I say, hi, how you guys doing? I'm being very southern, and they're like, we're fine. And, we're talking, they're on vacation. They say they're sisters. I said, oh, you guys look about, where are you from? And what do you mean sisters? Like, who's older one? And she goes, no, we're nuns. And I was like, oh, I was like, please come play baseball with us.
Yeah.
I was like, please. And I know at the time, I was like, I need the story of playing baseball with nuns on the Field of Dreams. And they did. And she was a hell of a
Nice.
hit, man. She is. She's a hell of a hit. And so eventually we just give everyone the bats and balls and they're doing their own thing. And we go out to the cornfields and everyone does the disappearing in the cornfields and the 2-year-olds go too far. So Mick's back there yelling at them. It's like, come here.
Marco, Polo, Marco.
It's exactly it. And it's one of those wins of the dad's trip that we did, which came with a loss because right after that, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, his future birthplace, is a couple hours away from there. And we showed up there and that was total garbage. That was a total fail. My kids are
Aw.
like, oh, this is stupid. I'm like, but he's conceived here. And then my 6-year-old's like, what does conceived mean? I'm like, oh, hell, I should have thought that out.
Should have just went to
It was
Tatooine. It would have been so much easier.
it's so much easier. Well, that was, they had an apple tree, but it was, all the apples were falling off and dead and rotted and stinky. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, everyone back in the car. Remember the Field of Dreams.
Remember the Field of Dreams. Remember the Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Remember the Field of Dreams. Just
Yeah.
stick with that.
It's not remember the Captain Kirk birthplace, right? To give my son the sex talk for the first time.
Right.
It's like, well, when a captain loves a green-skinned woman, they get together. That's what they do.
Very
Yes.
much.
Oh my
Things
goodness.
happen.
Man, that is a fun adventure. I like the fact that you got the nuns involved in it. That's really cool too.
I have nuns. I just was so excited just to have
Mhm.
nuns, and I'm not religious at all. I was like,
No,
please.
but it's just the idea of it. I love it because, like you said, well, you got to have them play with you. You have to.
You have to. You have
Just
to.
yeah,
Story's not complete until you have the nuns saying, "Let's nut up, let's ball this."
right. And there's nobody
There's
else.
the Shannon
There's no
joke.
other dad that's going to
Mhm.
bring that to the table. Like,
Nope.
oh yeah, we went to the Field of Games, Dreams too. Oh, did you? Did you have a game? Oh no, not really. Well, we did with nuns.
Yeah.
And you just drop it. You don't even say anything else. You
Mm.
just drop with nuns and walk away.
Yeah,
The rest of life to go. That guy won. That guy won, and I just I can't compete with him because he got nuns on his
on the Field of Dreams. I've done that. I've legit done that and walked away, and people are like, "What?" And they come follow me. I'm like, "Okay, now you're hooked." And
yeah, right.
the writer in me is like, "That's a good title. I'm going to use that."
Mhm. It's a great hook. It really
It
is.
is.
I love the fact though that your kids are older and this most recent trip, Shannon, you were kind of using your TikTok platform to talk to the kids and get their take on, hey,
Yeah.
like you got involved, you came at this point, now you're here, and you're just basically interviewing them and getting insight into them. And I love just like listening to all of their answers and reactions to that.
know.
And I'm like, oh man, like it was a total dad move to do that as well. And I think that's what it made it even more entertaining.
It was. Mick, where you were going to, you want to Mick set up Mick planned the last trip. And Mick, where did you take us with the Ducks? You want to tell that one?
Memphis.
Tell
We
that
went to
one.
Memphis.
We went to Memphis.
Peabody Hotel.
Oh,
If you go to Memphis, you got to go to the Peabody Hotel and you got to see the Ducks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up.
well, tell them what the Ducks are. The Ducks are amazing.
Is this Huey, Dewey, and Louie, or are we talking the
No.
Mighty
Yeah.
Ducks?
No, so
Howard the Duck? Like,
stop it, Brock. Goodness gracious.
Are the Ducks going to play on the Field of Dreams? That's what we need to know.
I think the nuns are going to bring them. The Peabody Hotel in Memphis is this old style grand hotel. We're talking marble everywhere in the lobby and balconies overlooking the atrium, all that stuff. There's a shoe shine bench, down the hill by the newsstand and
Yeah.
the fancy shops, along the mezzanine where they sell leather jackets that have pictures of Elvis. For how much was that thing, Shannon? Like $900 or something?
The suit that I wanted was $1,200.
Okay, yeah.
I want to see Shannon in an Elvis suit. I need to see
Well, they
it.
didn't have his size was the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Boo.
But
Made for little men with little dreams.
Right. Little
Like,
dreams. Nice.
so they have a fountain inside the lobby, atrium of this hotel. And the story goes that back in like the 30s, somebody as a joke. So back in the 30s, you used to be able to use live ducks as decoys for hunting. And the story goes is some hunting buddies of the general manager, as a joke, put their live decoy ducks in the fountain.
In the fountain. All
In
right.
the fountain. Well, that just kind of evolved into this ducks living in the Peabody Hotel. So every day at like 11 o'clock, they march the ducks. They've got their little imagine like a pigeon type coop you see on the top of a building, in the movies. Okay, so enlarge it for ducks. They got this building up on the roof where the ducks live. They march them down the elevator. They roll out a red carpet, and they just kind of waddle on into the fountain, and they stay there till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then the duck master marches them back to the hotel, and they make a huge production out of it. Like I said, they roll out a red carpet.
Yeah, it's
People,
like royalty, right, Mick?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, and people start lining up. Like we got there a half. I'd seen it before,
Yeah.
and I was like, guys, we got to get there about a half hour if we want to be able to get up front and get the kids like good viewing spots.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, yeah, sure enough, we weren't the first ones there at 30 minutes. There's already people milling around the lobby. But that's the kind of things that we look to do with the kids. We like to try to s split it up between the complete bucket list type thing that you think of, just these cultural iconic bucket
Yeah.
list things like the Field of Dreams or the Peabody Motel. But then
Mm-hmm.
we put in the complete goofy stops as well. We're kind of we've got a couple things that we're known for. One is the world's biggest fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Shannon, what are some of the world's biggest that we've seen besides the world's biggest rocking chair? It's the only one that
All
comes
right.
to mind right now. But
I'll give you a couple. Biggest ball of twine, biggest ball of string. They're two
well,
different.
that's different. I
That's
wasn't
its
going to
own
count that
thing.
one. That's its
It's
own
the
thing.
world's biggest rifle, the
That's
world's
part of the story.
longest rifle range, the world's biggest mailbox, the world's biggest pencil, the world's biggest pair of shoes, world's biggest pair of underwear, the world's biggest wind chimes. There's like 50 of them. Like I can
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
on and on. I have a thing for the world's biggest. I think we all do. And Stonehenge, by the way, I have a thing for
That
that
was the other one. Yeah.
too.
What's the
Even
count? How many hinges have we gone to?
I think six
Yeah.
total. I've seen six total. And I think with the dad's trip, and what Brock is talking about with that TikTok video, the interesting thing now, I don't know if we'll get into this or not later, but the interesting thing now is we started this trip when my daughter was almost 4, and it's just dads and kids, right? That's all it is. Mom stay home. And now she is 18, right? She is away in college. And to see that growth through those years, and that's what the interview was, is how young these kids were when we were doing, because there's 16 kids, and they were all short, like up to your knee. And now, like Adam is like 6'5", and I can't put my arm around his shoulder because he's too tall and it hurts my shoulder. And my
Yeah.
own son, he's about 6 feet, is just wide. And I'm like, oh God, you're huge now. To see that kind of split between them. And that was
Mm-hmm.
really cool to see in that TikTok video. And even, I think we can talk about this last trip, man, because we have 16 years to talk about it. I did want to mention this. So the dad's trip, one of the things that I've realized in my life, this is a bigger realization for my own mental health. You know, um, there are times where I have anxiety, right? When I'm not in control. And I crave control. I'm just like every one of you bastards. I think all of us stay-at-home dads like to have control.
Yeah.
Um, and that anxiety, when you don't have it, can be pretty bad on days, right? Things out of your control. But
Mm-hmm.
this last trip, I decided to trust my friends completely and fully and not question and give up that control, which is very, very hard for me to do. And Mick took it, and I was the passenger princess, and he wanted it. And it was the most relaxing trip I've ever been on. And the dad's trip has turned into be this mental health retreat for me over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the things we don't normally talk about because it's about the kids and it's about camaraderie, but not only rejuvenating those friendships, but having a safe spot in my own head to let it all go and be in the moment.
Yeah.
That's what the dad's trip is.
Absolutely.
We'll get more into this,
I
but
love
he's
it.
actually not, the phrase is dumbing this down, and that's not the right phrase.
Mick
But
called me
but
stupid.
but well, he's not
We say
really
watering
sharing.
watering it down, maybe. Is that what it is?
He's not
Simplifying
really
it.
he's simplifying it a lot because the progression that he has gone through from having this pie in the sky idea of
Yeah,
what to do how many years ago, and then
yeah,
what it took from his original idea. It took 2-3 years to
yeah.
build on the idea. Okay. And then there's been different variations and offshoots throughout those years, but he's glossing over the mental journey, for lack of a better word,
No, I
that
think it's a pretty good word, Mick. That's
has
pretty right on.
he's glossing over the mental journey that this 16, 17 years has taken him on to where he felt comfortable sitting in the passenger seat
Yeah,
for 8 hours driving to Memphis and controlling
Mm-hmm.
the radio.
You know, it's funny because
Oh.
notice it was the passenger seat, not the back seat, like our children when we're driving. But yeah, Mick's not wrong. It is a deeper meaning there. But then you get the
Yeah.
fun stuff, and I don't know if you guys can see this. This is where I got the Batarang. I have a real life Batarang.
Nice. Nice.
I got that on the dad's trip. It's real life. It's super sharp.
All right, throw it at the wall.
You know what? I have before, and it sticks. Isn't that cool?
Yes,
Wow.
yes,
Yeah, it
absolutely.
looks
I
real
would have
sharp.
so many holes in my wall because every time he's like, I would have like, oh God, I did it again.
It's exactly.
But
Feels like
I wouldn't be able to
and you're
stop.
like-
I'd have to put a cork board or something to shoot it.
So does this trip continue on? I mean, you still have younger kids, so is this a continuation that's gonna go until the last one's out of the house type of
at
deal?
least 7 more years, man.
Mhm.
At least all we gotta do. Kate is our last one. 8 more years. She is a grade behind the youngest, and only by a couple months different age. Kate gets a
Man.
special trip. She gets Hawaii, something like that.
You know,
It's gonna
just
be
saying,
paying
nice
for
and
it?
Kate.
just saying here, but I mean, like, in all honesty, depending on how life goes for your kids, I mean, you could be a grandpa by the time you get done with this thing.
Dude,
Then
that has totally come across our mindset now. Yes.
Mhm.
and then it's then
I'm
it
still
just
stuck on who's paying for Hawaii. That I'm not even going.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
wife.
who's doing that?
My wife. What about your wife?
You know how much cheaper it would be just to be us and one kid? We could swing that, man.
Mhm.
I mean, we have to cheap out on the dad's trip anyway, right? Because it's single income families. But I can imagine what it'd be like with five dads and just one kid. That'd be so much cheaper. Because on the
Mhm.
dad's trip, every meal is like $70, $80,
Yeah.
right? Nowadays, that can be prohibitive. It's like, all right, we
Yeah.
need to pack PB and J bellies because this
Right.
ain't working.
Right. You get hungry, there's
Exactly.
bread and PB&J in the back. You just crawl back there, make yourself a sandwich.
And we'll
Yep.
go over some of that. We'll go over some of those things as well.
Yeah.
We've got we've got some tips for that based on age and everything as well.
That's awesome.
And what I really love that really comes into play. Now, you were talking about this, and we talk a lot of times when we're parenting, we talk about what we give our kids.
Yep.
Like it's Christmas time. What are you going to get for your kids? What do your kids want for Christmas? Because that's coming up here in a couple of months. And the reality is that much more important than the gifts we might give them is experiences. And we
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that often, like, oh, we'll just give you an experience. I'm not going to buy you a new bike, but we're going to go get a bike and we're going to go on these biking trails or something like that. It's a bad example, but that you're having an experience with them rather than a physical thing. And I think it's really great that Shannon, you brought this up, that this is just as important as parents,
Yep.
as friends, to look at it and
Absolutely.
go, I don't have to buy Brock another gnome. No, but we're going to go to this. We're going to go to, I'm not going to do this was just an example. We're going to go play disc golf together when we're at the convention, and just to have those things that you have that experience with other dads, other men, other people, other adults, people that really fits in well with what you've done with your dad's trip every year. And also from what I understand, you have trips with just dads pretty regularly now at the barn, I think.
Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Barn, which is what I'm calling it now from here on out forever.
The wall of chainsaw.
It's the Iowa version.
There is a big saw blade out in the yard, I will say.
There is.
Yeah.
And we
Just in case.
are we gonna gloss over the gnome comment by Brock? Am
I know
missing
what I'm
something?
thinking. Yeah, no,
Does Brock like
I'm
gnomes?
I'm
My
trying to
wife
figure
is
out.
yeah, we have a lot of gnomes at the house.
They love
And
gnomes.
Danny
So-
actually brought me a gnome when we went to the podcast movement conference, and
In DC, yeah.
I did not have room for it to be part of my carry-on
Wouldn't take it.
luggage.
He wouldn't take it. It was handmade by some old lady here in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh, I want to get that.
See,
for
I
my
see a
friend.
road trip to a gnome factory.
I know,
coming
that's the
somewhere.
first thing in my head.
That's where we would
Is
go.
there a
We would be
gnome
like,
factory?
where are gnomes made? And
There
let's
must
go
be.
there.
You know
There
what?
must be a gnome
The world's
factory.
largest gnome. You know it has to exist. It's got to be like
Probably
I'm
in
Googling.
Norway. Somewhere.
$100 that exists. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh, I'm sure it
World's
does. I'm sure
largest
it does.
concrete gnome.
Its
Yeah.
its name better be David too. That's all I gotta say.
does.
If you know, you
It's-
know.
It's
It
in
is.
Iowa. It's
It
in
is.
Iowa.
It is
World's
not.
largest concrete gnome is in
Holy crap.
Ames, Iowa. I'm not.
See,
It is
now
in
you're-
Iowa.
You got to
It's
go
at,
to
oh,
Iowa
at the,
again
oh,
now.
I know where it is. No, I know where it is. It's at Ryman Gardens.
And
Yes.
now
I
Mick is
know
like,
exactly where it is.
we're gonna get Shannon back to Iowa one more
I
time.
know. Now I got to go back to Iowa, and
Doggone it.
damn it.
You were gonna go to Iowa next year anyway. It's in the cards, man. It's already planned.
I thought we were doing something. No, we're going to Wisconsin. I thought we were doing Chicago.
You got to go through Iowa to get there, knucklehead.
Oh yeah,
You do. Yeah, you can't get
is.
around that.
Well, you
I will
could,
tell
but
you-
then you're stuck in Illinois.
I will tell you one of the things that's changed. Mick, I'm going to talk about this. I don't care if we talk about it next week or not. But as the kids got older, one time, we didn't think this would be going on past the age of 15, 16 for the older kids, right? We had a very sincere talk about it. It's like, now they'll have jobs and they'll want to do it. So one year I told the 16-year-olds, I'm like, well, maybe we don't do the trip this year. They revolted. I thought they were going to cut me. They got so mad and were going to plan it themselves and make us go. And I was like, I'm kidding. So they make time every year in their busier schedules.
Mhm.
That's
and
awesome.
even college kids, they're already talking about, when we come home for the summer for the next year's dad's trip.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I guess you're coming, 19-year-old, whatever.
Yeah.
So what's changed though is we've done so many things in rural areas to see some of these things, just driving across open country, right? Now the kids like to see cities. So rural through making a lot of stops, but they like anchoring. We like anchoring at a city like Louisville or Memphis. They enjoy seeing some of that they've never really seen before. And that's brought a new kind of next evolution to the dad's trip because we have lived so much in places that don't have names really, or hotels where tractor tires are welcome. All right. And now they want to see these cities and go around those people. And it's really cool to see because it's hard to do cities with like a 4-year-old, right? In an art museum. That's
Yeah.
stress. That's why you just find a field and let them go, right? Let them just go nuts, like Field of Dreams. Like go run to the corn, get
Mhm.
lost, talk to Jesus, whatever. And so, but the cities now, that was one of the big draws to Memphis. And I think that's where we're going as the future of the dad trip kind of goes on. We'll be picking some more of those places because otherwise, guys, we've seen everything else. If it is around the Midwest or even some of the South and North, we're getting slim, man. It's getting slim, Mick.
I got some plans. I got
Cool
ideas.
though.
It better
Well-
be Hawaii. We've talked about
No,
that.
that's all you, brother.
I will plan that.
Fine. Oh, you're gonna pay for it? Okay, that's what I heard.
I'll try to get us sponsored. Maybe I'll be big
Uh-huh.
enough by then.
Maybe you should write a book.
I hope so.
That's what I was gonna. That's what I said earlier. I was like, this seems like this would be a part 2 book, kind of a lead out of or lead into writing this from what you already previously put together in your first book, Shannon, and just sort of like giving more details about it. So it would be interesting to see what takes place from that. But at the same time, too, like, we've been talking about Home Dad Con, and I think for a lot of guys, with the fact that we've been doing these conventions sort of in the Midwest, there's so many dads who live pretty close to where we've had the last few previous ones where you can just jump in a vehicle with a couple other dads and do like a road trip and get a few hours where it's just you and 2 other dads or 3 other dads kind of thing.
And we're going to get into that. You're absolutely right, Brock. That's part of the progression.
Road dad trip that all the way to the convention, man. That's a good idea. We've done
and
that.
I just thought and it's interesting because like I remember when I first got involved with Home Dad Con too, like that was sort of the thing. Like, oh, there, I think Pat Jacobs and Eric Boyette or something like that. Like I remember them like getting in. Like I think Pat flew out to somewhere out in California or something like that, and rode up the coast to Portland, I think, when you guys were out there, and it just like kind of chronicled it, and it was just hilarious. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds like so much fun. And so I think when Home Dad Con ended up being in Milwaukee, I was like, I'm doing that. And so I actually drove up to Chicago and picked Pat up, and then he and I road tripped up to Milwaukee, and it was. Or no, we did. Sorry, what in Milwaukee? We did Minneapolis. It was him and I went to Minneapolis, so it was an even further drive. It was just so much fun getting to hang out with him, like having the time to be able to just have conversations and just listen to different music and stuff like that, and just talk about life. And this last year I drove up to Milwaukee, and I actually drove up by myself, but then I picked up Billy Mattingly on the way back down, or brought him back home. And so this year I'm actually picking him up and we're going to St. Louis. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, if it's within driving distance, like why
Yeah.
not see if there's a dad in the network
Yeah.
that's going and just be like, hey, like let's do this
Get 'em
together.
on the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Road trip it. So our first home dad con, and I'm going to date us here, Mick, was what, 2009?
And no, first one was 9, second one was 10.
So
Omaha.
the first one, you guys will like it. We brought like 11 dads. Like we brought our whole group, right?
Sweet.
And it was the day of the minivans with the TVs in the back, right?
Oh
So-
man, yeah.
I brought my Xbox. We played Xbox on the road. We played Gears of War on the road.
Yes.
It was like a full van. It was like 6 of us in that minivan playing Gears of War. That was a hoot. That was a road trip to remember right there. That was a fun one.
That is hilarious. You know what though? That's the one thing I wouldn't put past a dad is being able to be like, all right, we're putting like a 36-inch TV behind the passenger like front seats. We're gonna strap
Get
it
some
into the
chicken wire
chairs.
and duct tape.
Yeah, and we're gonna hook up a game console, and you'll have like the 4 dads in the back playing or whatever.
Yep.
And you're like rotating out from the front.
If you
That's what I want to be going down the
You're
road.
good. Yeah, that's exactly. Some dad's gonna do that, right? Some
Some
giant
dad needs to do
antenna.
that.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to pick up like all the broadcast and watch some regular TV back there too. It's gonna happen. Someone's gonna do it.
Either that or a dad that just rents an RV and like picks up dads along the way or whatever. And, everybody's in there. You got dads in there cooking while you're driving and whatnot.
like the night bus from Harry Potter. You just shut the
Yes!
doorstep, open it up, dad falls in. Like, welcome. We're on the way. Maybe that's a story one day. Maybe that's something that we can get someone to pay for. Just get me a bus. I'll go from California to New York, pick up all the dads on the way, and we'll make it happen. Well,
I love that idea.
I won't be driving. Mick will drive the bus, but I'll be Stan. I'll be the guy that gets you on the bus.
Hey, Ern, let's go. Old lady, Ern, old lady.
3, 2, 1
2.5. 3.25. I just watched that this past weekend actually with my kids. Oh my goodness. Well, hey, we would be continuing going on way past our normal time for our podcast if we don't stop now. But this is just a precursor to what's going to take place in a week, honestly, while we're all just having a great time. So I think we're at the stop here and tell everybody basically that this is when this one comes out, it's literally like days before Home Dad Con. So for all
you should
those
be listening to this as you are traveling. This should be downloaded either to your phone so that it's either playing through the car as you're driving or you're listening in the air. So you should all have been listened by the time you get to St. Louis.
Also, along with that, make sure that you download the Country Music Dads playlist
It's
to listen
good.
to as well. It is very good. I plan on listening to it on my way out. And so that's the other thing that needs to make sure that happens as well. Because, yes, great road trip music on there.
It is. I really dig it, Mick. It's
Appreciate
Mick's
the
podcast.
plug there. Appreciate the plug there, Brock. Absolutely.
You're welcome. Well, hey, everybody, we will see you all, or we'll talk to you all next week, but some of you will see. And Shannon, Mick, thanks again for coming on the show, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, Brock and Danny.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.